Happy Earth Day, everybody. Here we are in the middle or later part of April, and we've been doing this now for a couple weeks. My name's Gina DiGirolamo. Welcome to the Heart of Paso, my Facebook Live way of staying connected to my community and hopefully connecting all of you guys together. Today I'm really excited to talk to Wendy Lewis, the CEO, I guess, of Echo. And I'm going to bring Wendy in right now. And I just we're going to have a lot to talk about with Wendy. But I do want to say right now, please, even if you're viewing this as a replay, share this. This is a way for us all to be connected, to see how we can help each other in our community. Even if you're not from the Paso Robles area, you could probably find out a lot of good information here, and it might even help you with doing something in your area. In some respect, how to support each other through the COVID-19 pandemic that we are all now pretty much just living with, it seems like. So let me bring in Wendy. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Gina. Thanks for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity to share about Echo and kind of our response to this crazy time.
I can only imagine, there's so many of us here and we're so blessed, right? We have homes and a clean environment and all of that, and there's a lot of people out there who don't. So I just want to jump right in, right off the bat. Tell us a little bit about Echo and tell us where you're at right now with this whole situation.
Yeah, when you talk about how many don't have homes, unfortunately in SLO County, the last point in time count, which was in January, there were 1,500 people counted in our county that are unhoused. And all of us in homeless services know, this happens on one snapshot of a day, that most likely that number's double. And in Paso alone, there was 224 counted.
Wow.
So we're probably talking a population of about 500 people. And so Echo is a wonderful organization. It stands for the El Camino Homeless Organization. We've been around 19 years. Our mission is to empower people in San Luis Obispo County by providing food, shelter, and supportive services. And the key to that is the supportive services. We're just not a place to just come have a bed and a meal. It's a place to get the resources you need to ultimately find a home of your own. And that's really what we're all about, is making sure people are safe, have basic necessities, but have a path forward into housing.
So it's not just a one-time come, sleep there for the night, pack up your stuff the next day and try and figure it out again. Is that right?
Yeah, it's very different. So Echo started very much with a meal program, kind of then moved into like emergency sheltering, almost like a warming center. And as our capacity grew over our 19 years, we figured out that if you really want to help someone be successful in finding a home of their own, there needs to be kind of more to it. And so we are a program-based shelter, which means you come to us, you kind of tell us your story. Case management works with you to kind of find where you're at. And if we have openings and you're kind of a fit, you're really ready to do what you need to do. And everybody's journey is different, then it becomes your home for 90 days. You have a safe place. You have your own spot every night. Your belongings can stay. Traditional shelters, you take everything you own out every morning and you hope, you have a bed when you come back. And, I just can't imagine how hard, challenging that is to find work or find housing or find enough food or find medical needs met when you're having to do that. So it's really a different type of program, and we're really successful. It works.
And I understand too, a lot of people don't feel safe going to those shelters. Is that right? So this was more, it's a safer, cleaner environment. I think you mentioned to me, somebody had said to you, why does your place feel so different?
Yeah, we had a visit from the head of the funding at the state level for homeless services, and talk about that person coming to visit. You're a nervous wreck that, gosh, what are they going to walk away with? And she said, Wendy, what makes this place, I feel a difference. I've been to hundreds of homeless service centers. What is so different? And it's really, it's a giant home for 50 people. It's our team. Our team is there because they care so much. Our volunteers, it's the atmosphere of we're all in this together. You walk through and you hear noises, positive noises, just like at our own homes, but it's just a lot more because there's 50 people. And, it's so neat to be able to part of an organization to provide that. And especially for the men, women, children, elderly, veterans that we serve, it's a magical little place we have, and I'm very proud.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like you should be. Let's talk real quick about COVID a little bit, and then maybe we could get into more details about the shelter. And also, I just want to mention we do have a donate button here on this feed. If you and Wendy will talk more about how you can help the shelter at this time. But tell us what's happening now with COVID. How does this change the way you're functioning? How are you able to help people? Those types of things.
Yeah, so COVID has been the top of a conversation at Echo probably for about 7 weeks. We were really kind of ahead of, that you hear right now about a month ago, but we were looking at it really early on. We wanted to be as prepared as we could, and we knew we needed to add some extra steps just to keep everyone safe. And we always follow all protocol for infectious disease prevention, but with COVID, we even had to ramp it up even more. So we've been working closely with the emergency office, our emergency office center here in SLO, and also the CDC to follow all homeless service guidelines. So that looks like extra hand washing stations outside at each entrance. It looks like social distancing outside of our building, and our evening meal program. We have a meal program to provide food to not only people staying with us, but anybody who's hungry. And so early on, we set up social distancing during the meal. We converted our meals from a sit-down community style to a to-go fashion.
Okay.
We love that community style, but it's just not the best thing right now. So right now, people who come to our dinner program come between 5 and 6, and then our residents eat from 6 to 7. And one of the neat parts about that is, our residents are sheltering in place, just like a lot of us are doing in our own homes. And so they're like, what can we do? And now they're packing those meals for others that are facing hunger. They are helping to clean the shelter every hour. We have extra sanitation protocols, and some of our programming that we've had to limit, they're stepping in and doing. So some of the adults are actually running our reading program, which usually has outside volunteers, and they're cooking some of the meals that normally might be brought in. So it's been really neat to see how everybody's pitching in to help. We've also increased our shower program, so that way it gives more of an opportunity for hygiene. And then the big thing that I'm so excited about is Monday, we launched our emergency outreach program. We hired an emergency outreach specialist, and he is now going throughout North County, finding every pocket of homeless encampments where people are staying in their cars. And he's bringing bags of food, safety bags, which have masks and toiletries and hand sanitizer and gloves and those things that will help keep the most vulnerable safe, but then also prevent community spread. That's just kind of a few of what we started with.
Wow. The bags thing was really interesting. This is not something that existed before COVID, right? And this isn't, and I think from our discussion, this is an example of something that's born out of COVID that will probably continue, correct?
Yeah, our hopes were that this will continue. He just started Monday, and I found out a little bit ago he's distributed 80 bags to unduplicated people in just Paso alone. So his next wave is Atascadero, and then he'll also be going on to the Cambria to the coast. That's just in 4 days, 80 bags. And so those are 80 people that don't have access to running water, don't have access to information. And so part of what he's bringing in is, what are the symptoms? Where can you get tested? Testing protocols are in place for people staying at Echo and people we find. We just have to connect them to those opportunities.
Do we know if anybody in the homeless community at this point that we know of has COVID?
So far, as of 2 days ago, I worked closely with the county. Nobody throughout SLO County that's been homeless has tested positive. That has just been a beautiful silver lining in this, because it could go unfortunately very wrong. Somebody who is chronically homeless has a 3 to 4 higher chance of dying of COVID than you or I. So that's why these extra steps are just so critical.
And that's because they cannot be housed in a safe environment, or right? Is that why they're, or is it also underlying health issues typically for homeless people?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, depressed immune systems because, they're unsheltered and they're just not having access to medical things they need. And, potentially if they're under a substance abuse situation, that's a compromise. If they're smoking, all of these things add up. And so we're just trying to do our best to not only keep our program going, but then also reach people that aren't being reached and save lives ultimately in all of this.
Do you have any recommendations for us as people when we come across a homeless person, as far as how we can help safely in this particular time? Personally, something that I find myself seeing often, I work out at Justin Winery a few days a week, and that's, pretty far out there. So I'm constantly passing the 101 exit on 24th Street. I often see a lot of younger people on that exit, and I want to help. I don't know how. Do you have any suggestions for us?
These conversations we have in our industry quite often, and I wouldn't want to, that people have to make those choices for themselves. But unfortunately, a lot of the people you're seeing, on those corners, the money might not be used for the intended purpose that you want it to be used for. So my suggestion is, let them know where there's a meal program. Let them know where, ECHO has resources for you. We're not only bringing the emergency services portion into Paso, but just in early March, we partnered with Paso Cares, and now we are bringing the coordination piece for the Paso Cares meal site. So send them there. We now have the outreach person there who is a trained case manager. He can provide, connections to the right resource for housing, mental health, behavioral health, things like, hey, I don't have a driver's license. How do I get help with that? That's what we're now here for. And that's probably your best direction is direct them to a homeless service agency who can kind of guide them in the right direction.
Right. Let's bring up the website real quick, because you have some critical needs that you want to share with people, because we all want to help in whichever way we can. And you said there's a few ways to do that. So let's take a look here. Here's your website. So this is, you're at the correct website when you see this image. It's called echoshelter.org. And right on this front page here, there's a critical needs button. So let's click on that. It's a little small, but I'm going to have Wendy talk about some of the things they need. But this is just to give you an idea to know where you're going to be seeing these things.
Yeah, so these needs are changing, day to day. We're following all guidelines, and each day there might be a new need, but kind of the big one is volunteers. We have 9 staff that run all of our programs, and how we pull that off is our incredible volunteer base. They're just there for us whenever we need them, and unfortunately, about 60% of our volunteer core can't volunteer right now. They have to support us from home because they're either in the underlying conditions, or they're over the age of 65, or they're Cal Poly students. So 60% of our volunteer corps isn't able to help. So that's the call to action right now. If you're healthy, you're 18 to 64, we have all the steps in place at ECHO to keep you safe and the people we serve safe, but we really need those volunteers. We have 300 spots each month in order to operate safely and keep that positive environment. So a call out to volunteers. And, amazing in March when all this was going on, Gina, I was very nervous that, our volunteer corps would drop and we would be deciding, are we going to decrease our services? What are we going to do? And we had 58 new volunteers reach that call to action in March alone, the most ever in our history in 1 month. I mean, that was just, incredible to see.
Can you get volunteers onboarded pretty quickly? Because I know this background check thing takes a while when you want to volunteer for services. How does that work?
Yeah, our volunteer corps actually doesn't, for any of the positions, have to do a background check. We have an application process, but you're never alone with a client. And so there's always a a 2-to-1 ratio, so that part we're not necessarily having to do. And we have an incredible volunteer coordinator who will get you feeling comfortable for whatever opportunity you've decided to do. So things like overnight chaperone, you come and actually stay at the shelter. You're a part of our overnight, keeping everybody active, getting things set up, and we have 2 volunteers each night plus a staff person that helps support them. That's just one opportunity. We have, you can come serve a meal, you can come help with registration, you can come help at our shower program. Normally that happens Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but it's happening Monday through Friday now. So there's just a few. Another big thing is monetary. We rely on our incredible community. We know, unfortunately, that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Once we're through the initial, big hit, what's the economy look like? How many more people are going to need homeless services, either help or prevention? And so that's going to be a big one. We're going to need help more than ever. And then also just things like supplies. There's a list of certain supplies that we need to really keep us operating. Right now we have a link to our Amazon wish list is also on there. And those are items.
Where can we find that on the website?
Good question.
Let's check that out.
Yeah, we just added that on Wednesday, so that's a very good question. I'll let your viewers know as we go forward, but a lot of those items we need for the safety bags are in there. I'm imagining it's under the how you can help section, but we'll get that added to the COVID response, and I'll update your viewers in a post later.
Okay, great. And then we're looking at the news, and we see the COVID information. But since this brings us into the whole Paso Robles program, so some of you may or may not know that here in Paso Robles we have Paso Cares, and so can you tell us, because I think you guys are getting together, right, and it's going to start to merge now, so we can get a better way of helping people.
So they have been doing incredible work for many years at the meal site there in Riverside, and we've been talking to them. Once the facility First Step is open, it just makes sense to fold that meal program into operations over at First Step. So we signed an MOU March 1st, and we are now kind of the coordination piece of the meal program. So their volunteer corps is still helping, their meal teams are still helping. We just have hired someone who's on the ECHO team to provide the volunteer coordination, the coordination for the meal program, bring some best practices in when it comes especially to COVID and just meal services in general. Also, we're bringing resources like our emergency bags there, case management support. So new to that is, case managers coming in, working with the clients that are coming to the meal teams and helping to get them resources to maybe get them in a better place.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's, just so needed, so incredibly needed. The other thing I wanted to ask you before we go into a little bit about, I think, so obviously a lot of way you've operated is fundraisers and things like that, and you had some fundraisers that were about to happen, but that didn't happen. And then, one of the things I like to dig into here on the Heart of Paso is how we're helping each other. So has somebody, I think you mentioned like maybe something about the masks and even some of the containers that you're serving the food with. Can you talk a little bit about that, on how people are supporting each other in very indirect ways as well as direct ways?
Yeah, it's been, just amazing to see our work. We have such great support in general, but something about COVID has made people go, gosh, I really, really want to help. And so we've had gifts that, have made us smile from, a Dr. Nasastani in FCCP. He reached out and said, I want to help a local business and I want to help people that are homeless. So he bought barbecue from San Luis Barbecue and drove it up himself and served it for lunch. We had, when we transitioned our meal program over to go. We didn't have to go containers, and so we messaged that out, and we found a local gentleman who's the CEO of Direct Pack, and he and his son brought 600 containers and said, just let me know when you need more. We had a huge need with our children. We have 10 kids right now staying with us, and when school closed down, we thought, what are we going to do? And the SLO County Office of Education said, hey, we want to partner. What do you need? And I said, we need a person to help keep these kids in giant homeschool at Echo. And so we were able to bring on an educational aide. They donated Chromebooks. And, from the report I hear, our kids are going to be better after this because they're getting that direct, attention. And that's just one of many. The masks, we said we need 600 masks, 2 each for these safety bags, and a group that formed, it's a mask group in SLO. They started and said, here's 50 and we'll do more. It's just been amazing, heartwarming, daily, multiple, what can we do? Our community is really responding.
Yeah, it's so fantastic. I love hearing these stories, and I think it helps us all to hear these stories, right? It keeps us positive. It keeps even those of us who are at home, and maybe, if you can help financially, great, help financially. If you can't help financially, like Wendy said, there's so many volunteer opportunities in different ways. And it doesn't have to be a lot, just be a little, right?
And I even had one little guy early on. He must have been 6 or 7. He brought a thing of sanitizing wipes. His mom said, here, take this in. So he carries it to our door, and he got it. He said, we don't need this, but you guys do. And it just was, so sweet to see.
Yeah. And speaking of sanitizer, I think that was one of the things we talked about, is you need the small bottles, because those are the ones that go into the bags, correct?
Yeah, so we have a couple great partners that will provide large containers of sanitizing spray, but ideally we want to put, 4 to 6 ounces in each of these safety bags to distribute, and also distribute in our shower program and our meal program. And so if anybody has access to, 4 6-ounce little bottles, they can be spray top or, slow drip top. We have both Crowbar in Templeton and Donati Wines. They said, whatever sanitizers you need, just let us know for free. We'll donate it. And so, it's that kind of generosity that's been really amazing to see.
That would be great. And then maybe somebody out there manufactures little bottles or can get them and can put that sanitizer in the little bottles and get it out there for people. That would be great. That would be a cool thing. I'm going to bring up your Facebook page real quick too, because I want people to see that. And maybe we've got some fun I think you had you said that you actually have hired 3 new people, right, since this whole thing started?
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible. Oh, that right there, that's our Facebook page. That is another. So that's a gentleman in our program, and we had one of the folks from the county. So the county has kind of deployed some of their folks that they need to keep working, but it might not be in the library anymore, but you're going to go work at Echo. And one of the ladies that has been helping, she bought The Habit one night. She said, you guys, you just had sandwiches for lunch. Let's not have sandwiches for dinner. I'm going to treat all of you. And this gentleman that's staying with us asked one of our case managers, I think I want to write her a note and tell her how special that was. So this is a picture of him showing his thank you note he wrote for her.
Oh, very nice. That's great. Let me go to the top of the page so you see that's what, and this is out front of the shelter, correct? This is where the signage is out there. And where's the shelter located again?
We're located in Atascadero. Mm-hmm. We are right down the street from the high school. So we're also really unique for being a shelter that is actually in a residential area. Typically when you go to put a shelter, if someone said, we're going to put it where Echo is, we'd have a little bit of an interesting response, but our founders just made it happen, and we're good neighbors. We really are. Our neighbors, we do everything that's needed and above, and it's really just an extension of the neighborhood.
Wendy, something else we talked about was, how can we prepare for the future a little bit, and this case stemmed out of a discussion we were having about case management. And I think I was asking you what happens to somebody once they go out of the program. And I think you were telling me how, you're always there for them for a while. They have case management. But really, as this continues, how can we prepare more?
Yeah, I think even over Echo's evolution, prior to having case management, it was more of a, you're going to be here, you're going to be safe, but not necessarily move forward. And when we added case management, it really made the difference. They're the person's cheerleader, they're their job coach, they're their sometimes their parents saying, "Hey, remember we talked about this," and it really makes a difference. Traditional shelter services, if you hit a benchmark of about 10%, you're considered successful. And last year, over 60% of the people that came into our program found housing. And that's just, remarkable. And once they do find housing, our case managers stay connected with them for at least a year or more. So that way they don't lose footing and go backwards. And so really that case management piece is the piece that is another tool that we have that makes a huge difference in our work. We also have, it's not just a place to be, it's a place to grow, get empowered, really gain skills. And so we have complete wraparound services. Some of them are reduced right now with COVID, but in a traditional day, we during the week, we have for the adults financial literacy and parenting classes and fitness classes and job skill workshops and mental health support, nutrition education, garden education, fitness. For the kids, we have reading, we have tutoring programs, nutrition, gardens. It's Earth Day today, and when I was down at Echo, our garden is just amazing, and we have a great volunteer, Victoria, who just that's part of the love of what she does to connect our residents with the garden, and it's such a healing place, and it's so special to have at Echo as well.
It sounds like Echo is, like you just said, healing, not just putting a Band-Aid on the problem, but really getting people support and a real good feeling for a life worth living, which is, we all want to feel that. And it sounds like the work you guys are doing is amazing. So I'm so grateful for you. What I like to ask people too, how are you personally doing with this COVID situation? Are you at the Echo daily or just working from home, or how is this all affecting you? I mean, you're always helping people, so that's got to be a little challenging.
Yeah, it's been, a little bit of both. I'm doing some working from home, some working from Echo, a lot of running around, working with potential donors, trying to connect dots, my ultimate role is to keep my staff in good spirits and asking them the same question that you just asked me. And partly, it's felt so good because in a midst of a lot of places, unfortunately, have to reduce staff, we've been able to bring staff on that's helping keep our other team members whole. So we're not losing these people that are showing up daily with passion and smiles on their face. And, again, that energy is such a positive energy. And so we're really just all trying to stay safe and really keep doing what we do and do even more. So I'm doing good. Thank you for asking.
Good. And so is there anything else that you would like for us to know? Anything else that we can do that we might not have talked about? Last thoughts.
Well, I just, want to thank you for the opportunity, thank the team. I mean, they really, I just can't explain how they're doing. They're just an incredible group of people with such passion. The community, thank those that are helping. I think I saw my friend Jamie Schlotsky comment, that's another helper. She's helping me get some radio PSAs on the dime stations she works with, and that's been amazing. So we just, anything someone wants to do, but they can donate, they can volunteer, they can also advocate. They can be that voice for the person that's unhoused, that break down those misconceptions. It can be anyone, and I think COVID is really bringing that to light. It truly can be anybody. There's so many folks paycheck to paycheck that it really can be, unfortunately, anybody in those shoes.
Yeah. It is. It's sad to think that, but hopefully before that happens to people in our community, they will reach out to anybody they can and have loved ones or friends or somebody help them. Um, if for Is there anything that you guys can do if somebody is afraid that they might be on the verge of homelessness?
Well, that is actually that's our next journey. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, we're working with some potential funders to actually launch a program at Echo. It's going to be the Community Homeless Prevention Fund. It's not final, but it's looking very promising. So it would be a fund for people to come to us and ask, and we would be the vetting entity and really, keep people housed who. Before they come to us, we help keep them housed. So the
Yeah,
idea would be to have help for utility assistance, rental assistance, maybe that medical bill that's going to send someone in a financial spiral. So stay tuned for that. We're very hopeful that we're going to be able to add that to our toolbox and really bring on another way to help.
that sounds great. And if anybody's listening that might be able to help you guys out with that, please reach out to Wendy. Wendy, thanks so much for sharing a story about Echo today, and really appreciate it. And like I said, reach out to us. Anything that I can do more, I'd be happy to do.
Well, thank you for this, and I love your, the heart of Paso. That's kind of a lot of us are living through with a lot of big heart right now. So thank you for doing this.
No doubt, my pleasure. All right, Wendy, I'm gonna log you out for a second and just say a few last words to our audience here.
Okay.
So thank you so much for everybody watching this, and what I encourage you to do is share it. That's another way you can help Echo, is to share it, and that's a small thing that you could do, right? Maybe somebody you know is going to watch it and be able to volunteer or offer some kind of services or offer some critical needs, some materials that they might need. If you have some time, one of the things you can do to help yourself through this time is to get out and help somebody else. So that's going to make you feel a lot better. And Echo is being very safe on how you can be protected from COVID and those types of things. And I really love the last thing Wendy talked about, this idea that we're here. They're working really hard at being able to help people to be preventing from becoming homeless. Prevention is the cure for just about everything. So stay safe. Please text me, private message me if you would like to be on the show with me, talk about something you're involved with. That would be great. Other than that, happy Earth Day. Stay safe and keep the heart of Paso pumping.